Hello, our family.
Hello there. Welcome back.
How is everybody today? It is a beautiful day. I haven't noticed any chemtrails here today, and that always is a good thing.
And I hope everyone is staying warm and safe and dry.
Warm, safe, and dry are, three things that are hard to do in this planet in these times.
Mm-hmm. They are.
Mm-hmm. Yes. So let us start today. This is an update on all sorts of things going on. Here's a video emerges of Joe Biden's visit to West Hollywood, California on 2/5/2024. And he's met with a crowd. They got a chant that they're just ringing out, and I don't dare play it, but I'll give you guys the link. It says, bleep, Joe Biden. Yeah, bleep, Joe Biden.
Well, that's so most appropriate, I think, right?
Yeah, and it's not up with Joe Biden.
Yeah, they're saying our friend Joe Biden.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You know, this is happening more and more around the world with the leadership of the world. It is absolutely, it's part of the apocalyptical unveiling going on. And don't forget, I think that part of the problem is there's just so many things going on, we can't keep up with what's going on in certain ones that were huge events like Maui. Maui, for instance, and Lahaina, the fires and everything. Listen to this. People are starting to really listen closely, and I'll put the sound about here. Hopefully it won't echo.
We updated our natural man-made disaster policy.
Wait a minute. What did he say?
Say it again.
Wait. What did he say?
We updated our natural man-made disaster policy.
We updated our
natural man-made disaster policy.
Yeah. See, this is what we've been saying. There is natural, and then there's man-made, and then there's kind of augmented, where you take something that's natural, you amplify it, you steer it and direct it. And that's exactly what's going on. And people are waking up in droves to this. And again, please do share these videos. As much as the awakening is going on, the faster we can wake up the planet, definitely the less disasters and the better probability of changing things to a more positive timeline.
People need to know about this stuff. This is really horrible. And if the right people know, they start to step up with us. They start to wake up and make a difference, at least wherever they can. But, if we do nothing, they're just going to keep going forward with whatever they're going to do if we stand back and allow it to happen. We can't do that.
Yeah, and this is where I think we differ from some other people's philosophy of just ignore. As I'll see sometimes, not as much anymore, but sometimes comments saying, fear porn. Fear porn? Didn't Maui happen? Didn't that horrible earthquake in Morocco claim thousands of lives? How about the flooding in Tunisia? We could keep going on with one disaster after another. Fear porn? No, they're just afraid to face the reality that's, bopping us over the head.
Well, you have to look at things for what they are. If you don't recognize it for what it is, how are you going to fix it? How are you going to fix something if you don't realize there's a problem?
And if you stick your head in a sand hole, how is that going to help anything? It really isn't. You have to alert the world to what's going on. You have to scream loud and clear. Even when it makes you a target, even when it takes resources away from you, even when it makes you a pariah, you have to do what you can do to shift the narrative. Otherwise, we're kind of guilty of just allowing things to happen because, again, they tell us what they're doing. They tell us what they did. They tell us what they're going to do. And then most people just walk along ignoring it, even though it's they've said this. They've said this loud and clear. And all you got to do is just a little research and just listen a little closely. You don't have to do any research. There's plenty of channels out there doing tons of research. There's plenty of people that are literally on fire, uncovering all the crazy chaos that is orchestrated, as you see government slow walking the Maui fire cleanup. They're refusing to let residents who lost their homes in the fire to clear their own property, let alone rebuild. This was an absolute grab. And when we look at what's going on in Gaza, already you see moving forward with certain things to control the resources. This is always about greed, ego, and it's purely demonic at the highest level. Whatever tragedy we're looking at, there's always these people in positions of power that are looking to better themselves because of it. And as we're all catching on to, often, these things are completely orchestrated for that intent purpose, because, this has been going on for a long time, only we were sleepwalking. Most of us were sleepwalking. Again, my awakening, I'd say really to just how dark the governmental structure is as far as the world government stage was not until 88, I want to say, to 92, 88 to 92. In that time frame, it really was when I started to wake up and realize, all the governments are part of this. And, they're all really just patting each other on the back and wink, wink, nod, nod. Here's an agreement. We'll do this, you do that, and then we'll split the proceeds.
Well, I think it's really sad because, we have to look at this like there's layers of people stopping other people. So who is it holding the signs or holding the gates closed so that owners cannot go in and look at their property? It's like, do those people who are guarding the gates, who are guarding the roads, do they understand that there's this slow walking process? And if they do, why are they sitting on it? Why are they quiet? Why are they complacent? To me, if you know that something is really, really wrong and you continue to support that wrongness, you are just as guilty.
Yeah, absolutely. Whether it's Al Gore saying we're all going to be drowning, 10 years ago, and no, we're not all drowning. Some people are. But again, it's not because of the reasons that they want us to think it is, so they can induce their carbon tax. Yeah, there's CBDC, carbon tax. This is all part of the purpose in shifting to a new paradigm. Meanwhile, Biden administration sued for hiding John Kerry's staff coordination with the echo groups. Yeah, and this is at the biggest level. And I'm always saying out there and tweeting and doing these things, just saying, it's not Putin's fault. It's not Biden's fault. It's really the entire political structure of the planet's fault, because, those guys are part of it. They're all part of it. And, still, a lot of us still have our favorites, and we don't want to let go of that knight riding in on the horse with the white hat. Well, you know what? He's really a black hat too. That's the bottom line. Or we can say they're all gray hats because they're just all in it for themselves, bottom line. Some are worse than others. Absolutely. Some are just atrocious. And but at the same time, the system is what has to go. It has to be the entirety of the system. If we really want change, you cannot have the governmental structures in place that are in place right now. And yet, they understand this. And that's why they have another knight in the shining armor over there, Elon, for after the fact. But, it's unwinding pretty fast. And I think that they are legitimately nervous about losing control of the narrative because I think they are kind of losing control of the narrative. The few, again, we put it to a mirror, is never going to gain back trust from me. And they're never going to gain back trust from you. I mean, we never trusted them in the first place. No matter how much they try to build back better and build more trust, it isn't going to happen with a big, big percentage of the population. Now, hopefully that percentage of the population will be around because we have oncologists like Dr. William Mackis, and others saying they have never seen cancers behaving like this before. Young people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s developing aggressive and rapidly growing turbo cancers. Not only that, but we're finding more and more people are just not able to give birth. And that's going to be something moving forward. And I go back to, I think, the words of Gil Bates, when he was talking about them releasing genetically modified mosquitoes. He needed to release a certain proportion to the overall population in order to affect the whole population. That's huge, because then we take that information, we apply it to what we've seen since 2020 and this situation, and you got to realize this is huge. But then they've told us, they said, hey, we're in the last generation, maybe 2, of Homo sapiens sapiens. They've told us, why do we need so many people? We don't need so many people. And then you look to what they're doing with the AI and the technology. I've seen articles and other places talking about the robotics that's coming along. We understand there's fast food places I wouldn't eat there in the first place that are totally now without people, no humans inside. It's all automated. Same thing with factories. And then we see more and more robots of nastier and nastier variety, more and more drones. The battlefield is going to be littered with drones. You might say, well, that's good. It's less people dying on the battlefield. Yeah, but their intention is to use the drones to police the entirety of the planet. And to watch every single one of us, every single one that doesn't go along with their agenda.
Mm-hmm. It's so sad because it's not that people are going to be dying on the battlefield. What we're looking at is the battlefield. This is it.
The entirety of the planet
is
the battlefield.
That's right. And what people are going through now, these cancers, these infertility issues. Why do we talk about this? Why do we harp on this? Because we want each and every one of you that are listening to be organic, to remain organic. I think this is a time where we really should be journaling. We should be writing things down for our children, for our grandchildren, because I think things are changing at such a spinning rate. Are our grandchildren going to understand really what happened? What if they don't have our notes, to look back on? Who is rewriting everything? Who is going to be rewriting the history?
Well, the same ones that rewrote the history of Tartaria and Atlantis and Lemuria and Mu and who knows what other ones, other civilizations that have existed, and then they've been just totally obsolescence, to use a term, Yeah, think about that too. We buy products nowadays that could last forever, but they have planned obsolescence. Humanity has been programmed, a large section of humanity, a large chunk of humanity has been programmed with planned obsolescence now. This is the reality that we're waking to. And, I've mentioned that a long time ago, I think in a Patreon-only video, but that is the reality. And you're going to have people that are not in their best health and also not thinking clearly. Was that what happened here? There was 4 bolts missing from the door that flew off the Boeing 737 MAX back in January. Did somebody have a little accident? Yeah, there's that new word out there. It starts with a V, and you could just add accident to it. Could that be what's going on? The great unveiling, the apocalypse is well underway, as you have Yemen calling out America's false flag wars, which is most of them. Since its founding, all wars were based on lies. Mexico, Vietnam, Iraq were all invaded based on admitted lies. Attacks on Spanish, Cuba, Philippines, also based on lies. But, the U.S. has just been used as a tool. And now it's going to be discarded with the rest of NATO. Why? Because, we're not going to accept certain laws that they accepted in China. We wouldn't, if they came straight out and said, hey, we're doing a social credit score, the people wouldn't go for that. No, they need to put a new government in place. So this is why they've already hedged their bet, and they've created the situation where it's going to be impossible to pretty much overcome the BRICS nations, China and Russia, when they come on in. And this is planned for our immediate future. This is part of the realization going on. So the bad guys, the USA, is going to be made to look like Hitler's Germany after the war. They're just going to place blame on the USA and et cetera, and again rewrite the history books once again. And this is an ongoing thing. We cannot trust anybody in the modern political forum. MTG says a lot of the right things, but again, she's a millionaire. She is in the system. You can't trust her. You can't trust any of them, even if she is saying the right things all the time, because again, there's always that controlled opposition. Like what WWE, you got somebody, he's the heel, and then you're going to have the hero. So you have the hero and the goat, and the goat plays it up well, and the hero plays it up well, and everybody, watches the drama.
It's just sickening too, because if I remember correctly, I do believe she gets something from big FARMA too.
She has investments with them. Yeah, we've covered that before. Again, I think that was on Patreon that we were talking about her investments. Yeah, she's done well for herself. When you look at Nancy Pelosi, what do they make in Congress? 200 and something thousand, right? 200 and something thousand. How does that equate to like a couple $100 million? It's wise investment. Yeah, it's insider trading. This is all how it is. And again, we had another person that was saying, please don't say to get out of the system, and don't say to get out of the cities and to get out of the system. And I understand it's not easy. It really is not easy. And I could look back at my own life and understand how the guides have made me go through things firsthand in order to be where I am now, so I could kind of speak on it. Because, I've left situations with a tiny little Econobox car, not worth anything at all, literally, with nothing. All my belongings were in the car. I owned nothing. And this is, in my 40s. I was in this situation because I chose to leave the system. And I did leave jobs that paid well and had good benefits and the like. You were in debt. And I was in debt. I was in credit card debt. It didn't take me any time when I put my mind to it to really turn it around. And I don't think I've really shared this with you guys. But yeah, I remember I had 3 big credit cards that were like maxed, so I was closing in on $25,000 to $30,000 worth of credit card debt with no resources. And I still did it. I didn't own anything. I owned some books, one guitar at that time, and just clothes, and that was it. I remember I had $300, and this wasn't all that long ago. And I took it. I took the chance and left the system. And at first, I did odd things totally on 100% type of commission basis, because that was the only thing I could possibly find to do, where I wouldn't feel like I was in the system under the corporate umbrella anymore. And then it turned into where I was able to make my way doing things that I enjoyed to do, and help others. Really was what I really had been called to do, as the guides have said, like a rehabilitation specialist. So doing things, helping people regain their health and things like that, from physical therapy and training people and things, and dietary things, as well as doing energy work. I was eventually able to get on my feet, and then not only that, but it just blossomed to where I had all the business I could possibly want and more. And it was scary, and literally, I had nothing, but I took the chance because I was dying inside, and I couldn't work for a corporation anymore. And I kind of got the message from the guides that I wouldn't be around if I didn't make the change because I'm not living my life's purpose. And this is, again, going back to why we talk about Vedic astrology charts, because you can learn about your life's purpose. And, eventually here I met Cindy, and she has always had an interest in Vedic astrology, and she is an amazingly gifted, intuitive, just amazing abilities. Her ability to channel and everything has been really the biggest blessing in my life, because I remember as a little kid just saying, if I have so many questions I want answers to before I die. I just got to know these answers, and Cindy's been able to answer them. And I found that my intuition was most of the time exactly on, but I just didn't trust it. But I do trust her. And I do absolutely believe in her. And, she reached out to me for energy work herself and to learn energy work, as I've been doing Qigong for over 30 years, and Reiki master teacher, pranic healing, as well as other modalities too. But then really, instead of me training her, I trained her somewhat, but she's trained me more.
He's so sweet. No, but I do think we complement each other very, very well. Mike, we both are extremely intuitive when we work with somebody. I have the ability to look in and see the blocks and tell Mike, okay, well, this is what's going on. And then he's able to say, okay, well, this is, this organ, that organ, and this meridian, that meridian. And we're able to help people and get somewhere, but mostly help people through this time, because so many people are going through an awakening. A lot of people are going into doctors' offices and they're not getting any answers. The doctors are just handing back blood tests saying, no, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine, you're fine. People are going through ascension. They're having ascension symptoms. It is scary and it is hard. But this is something where you do reach out and you ask for guidance, and it really is helpful, because we're so alone. No matter how many people we talk to, and we talk to a lot of people, they're still alone where they're at. They don't have anyone to talk to. They don't have anyone to talk to about ascension symptoms. They don't have anyone to talk to about all these doctor's visits. We always recommend that wherever you're at, do get somebody who's a naturopath in your area. That's so important, because the Western medical system, they're not set up to pick up on ascension symptoms. They're not set up to work with a light body. They're not set up to try to stabilize somebody's energy field while they try to figure out what's going on. And that's something that we both specialize in. So it's just a different time. Things are changing. And I just want to throw it out there. I really want you guys to journal, because I don't want AI to write our history. I want our kids to have plenty of information to turn to so that they can know what happened during this time.
Yeah, that's a great point. Here you have 3 migrants on an insane crime spree, stealing 62 phones and or wallets from 62 women. And here was a woman walking on the street, and this New York, by the way, they grabbed her and literally dragged her by their bikes that they're given, dragging her through the streets. This is going to be very, very dangerous. And when we look over across the pond as well in the UK, and these events have been happening in the UK, Ireland, they've been in the Netherlands, Belgium, Sweden, you name it. These same sort of attacks have been going on, attacks by mob of 12 men. Very, very disconcerting, and this is just building. And in fact, now it's out there so much that you have to realize we're in the last months or weeks or months of preparation before these guys are given the go. And at this point in time, they say that those crossing the border, it's really being dominated by people coming from China. Disproportionately, the ones coming from China, here you see some kids, but a lot of them don't have kids. And again, I love Chinese culture, not CCP culture, Chinese culture, going way, way back. Absolutely. In fact, I know I've had previous lives there, but it was a long time ago. It's not anything against the Chinese people, but they are part of this invasion, and the U.S. it's already invaded. Same thing with the other NATO countries. The outcome is already predetermined. Predetermined by the power structure, again, because they're the ones with all the resources. It should be really hitting us. If you look at like stats and stuff, look at Russia. Russia is booming. And then they give us information. China's about to collapse. Don't worry, China's economy is good. No. That is all, again, it's part of the orchestrated media to make us think something is one way, but it's something totally different. And recognize also that ultimately it doesn't matter, because they're going to introduce a completely new monetary system. That's really, really what they are looking to do. But this is becoming so obvious. Of course, you have Tucker again. We have to say that we feel that he is exactly controlled opposition. Is he one of the ones that would like to see a little bit better future than some of the other ones for humanity on the whole? Yeah, he does feel that way. Again, but they know they're in this world structure where they have limited power and ability, so they have to tread carefully. Or they just won't be anymore. It'll be like, oh my God, did you hear that? It was a horrible helicopter accident, or whatever it is. How many people had accidents around, that couple from Arkansas that ended up in the Casablanca?
I know. He definitely has things to say that are really, really good. And of course, it's like we all want to say, go, go, go. But at the same time, his job is to keep that anger fire lit under people's bottoms, to keep them angry. So when we listen to this, take the information in, be very careful to not emotionally react to it, because then you have other entities that are feeding on you. And maybe we don't talk about that enough, but there's different layers and levels of food. And here we are at the 3D, and we have to, work for the system so that we can get things. But there's another layer to that. Energetically, there's other entities that feed off of our emotions. So we really have to learn to keep those emotions in check. And that's another reason why we talk about mind, body, breath. It helps you control those emotions. So yeah, bring the information in, but don't act on it.
So this is a over an hour interview. Basically, Brett Weinstein traveled to the Darien Gap to understand who's behind the invasion. It's the UN, basically. It's not a friendly migration. No. And so what he's saying is there's aspects of people that have no clue what's going on. All they know is they've been given free goodies, and they've been given this rosy speech. All this awaits you at your new destination. Gosh, reminds me of Total Recall and Mars.
Wow.
Got to go to Mars. Yeah. 2 weeks. No. But what is hidden in here is a military invasion. Absolutely. And also hidden in here are horrible thugs. I mean, the worst dregs of societies, from those that peddle and also use all sorts of drugs, legal and otherwise, to cartels. This is just, we have never seen in our timeline, nor do I know of anything similar to this in the history I've read, kind of like ever. So this is something really big. Meanwhile, we still have 3 carrier strike groups. Basically, we have 3 strike forces in and around the Middle East, which is still obviously an ongoing thing. There are some war games going on over here in the Pacific Theater, and still there's 4 over there. That's holding steady. It's basically they've kind of raised the ante, and they're just kind of holding that in place. Meanwhile, the European Commission has dropped key passages in a proposal for a new 2040 goal for cutting greenhouse gas pollution. The reality is, as we've said, now that sounds like a victory, but you're talking about 2040. That's a long way out. One of the things they realize is that the population of the planet's not going to be even anything like what it is now and they realize the situation of the planet is going to be totally changed by that point in time. So, that's really nothing. It feels like it's a victory, but we got to keep pushing. People are pushing. The farmers are getting somewhere. But at the same time, is that part of the plan? Because what is it doing? It's creating more disruptions in the food supply, which is going to lead to, again, more cost for basic goods and eventually more famine.
Can I just say it's really getting difficult to get organic food financially. It's really getting up there. You have to pay extra to not be poisoned these days, and you have to pay a lot extra. And that's not fair when it comes to moms and dads with children to feed. It makes it so difficult. But I also like to see people, maybe this is what we need to prod ourselves into really becoming more and more and more self-sufficient, and even really supporting your local growers, getting to know them, figure out who they are, go to your farmers markets, make friends, do that way. We can use this to point ourselves in a better direction.
Absolutely. This is Java, by the way. This isn't California, but you can see just an insane flooding that has hit so many different areas around the globe. The LA area recorded more than 300 mudslides during the storm. Still ongoing. Last time I had read, it was about 3 people that had lost their lives. Obviously trees down, lots of property destroyed. And yet, what I feel is that this won't be the biggest, quote unquote, natural man-made, that new category they were talking about. Natural man-made disasters. Yeah, that's a new category. Natural man-made disasters to hit California this year. I really do think there's a very high possibility of the big one in Cascadia. And all this water is going to add to that possibility. Crazy flooding in Vegas, too. Yeah, the desert's not made for this. The power outage situation is improving. It's still 135,000 without power in California right now. But we also have, extreme weather conditions going on in Japan. China as well has had some nasty storms. So it's not just the NATO side of things. It's really global is what we're seeing. Snowfall hits Tokyo, injuring more than 130 people. Traffic chaos, 14 million people in Tokyo. Wow. And the entirety of Japan has less than 10 times that total population. So you can see so many people are concentrated in the Tokyo area. And Japan is also a country that is in population decline. Again, the people there are choosing not to have kids a lot more. They just basically are married to the corporation, and that's so sad. But the reality is, too, now at this point in time, could they have kids if they really wanted to? Probably not as easy as in ages past.
No, that's not. Yeah, that's something that's becoming more and more difficult all the time, and just for people who are indirectly affected, too. So it's kind of a mess right now.
Yeah, and this is the second fireball over Mumbai, India within a week. What are the chances? Well, if it's ships and not, not just rock, happening go over the same area, then that would be no big deal. That's just, somebody's coming by to take a look. Maybe they come by again, take another look for whatever reason. I mean, maybe there will be some sort of, interesting occurrence, hopefully nothing disastrous over Mumbai. It's a very, very large city in India. I jumped on Mr. MBB's live chat the other day just briefly, and he was talking about comets going into the sun, and he was just kind of saying, why do you think these comets go into the sun? And what we're getting is those are ships going into the sun because the sun is a portal, and you could come out in a totally different place. And I have seen how our sun is connected to other suns. It's a network. It's like a neural network. It's invisible to the naked eye, but it's there. It is there. And you can jump into it, and it's almost like a wormhole, and you could come out in another star system.
That's right. And it's just something right now it's hard for us to really fathom or imagine because of our scientific upbringing. We're under the illusion that, the only things that can happen are the things that the scientists have told us can happen. So it's like, but you look at these things and just look a little closer, and what I'm seeing, it's like, no, you go in there, you come out in a whole nother realm. You have a whole nother place to explore. You have new planets. But they're ships, there's beings, and they are ready for this. They understand what they're doing. They're not just diving into the sun. No, their ships are going, changing in whatever form they need to change, and they go right through, and they come out. And it's fairly common. You look to the sun, there's a lot of different entities up there. There's all kinds of beings around the sun. Have you guys ever gone outside and looked up at a street lamp and see all those bugs flying around? The sun is like that. The sun is like that.
And you're seeing that. She's using her pineal gland to see that. I still remember another friend of mine, it wasn't Leah that shared her story about, she was actually clinically dead for 38 minutes. Another friend was dead for like 25 minutes. And it was staring at the sun one time, and I asked, what are you looking at? All those ships? All the ships. Where? Up at the sun? Yeah, she was just staring at the sun. Same thing. Again, when you have that ability to see, if the world had that ability to see using their pineal glands, everything would be changed. Or everything would be changed in this world. That's why you have fluoridated water. That's why you have all these signals. That's why you have everything suppressing the revolution in consciousness that is happening on the planet. Because everything that you've been taught, you would realize is not true. It's not the reality.
Mm-hmm. And then you have this kitty who's just going to get his morning hug no matter what. And he's going to hug until he gets a hug back, I think. I think that's what's going on here. I'm not sure, but that kitty looks determined.
Absolutely. Again, leave it to nature. Nature will show the way. Develop your instincts. Go with your gut. A daily spiritual practice is a must. It is an absolute must. And we really don't leave the house. We don't go do any errands before we do mantras and meditation.
Definitely.
As always, guys, thank you for your support again on Ko-Fi and Patreon. And, again, thank you guys. We couldn't do it without you.
Thank you so much. Source bless and namaste.
Namaste.